YWCA Madison Race and Gender Equity Department provides training and support to individuals and organizations who are committed to race and gender equity and to further the mission of eliminating racism and empowering women. For over 15 years, YWCA Madison has provided training and support to individuals and organizations who are committed to race and gender equity. Our partners include large corporations, government and public sector organizations, as well as area nonprofits, funders, and of course our own board and staff. We do this in a number of different ways. We provide a series of racial justice training workshops. They are levels 100 through 300. Level 100 is on racial identity development. It's really an intro level training to understand the foundations as we talk about racial justice, and to build community in the group of people who are going through the training together. Level 200 is called Deconstructing Racism, and that training I like to think of as a history lesson most of us didn't get in school. It's really focusing on laws, policies, and practices that have been in place over time that have led to the racial disparities we see in our community today. The third level is called Exploring Privilege, and in that level we really get to the personal level of seeing the places where we have privilege and bias, but not coming at that from a place of guilt and shame, but coming at that from a place of once we understand where we have privilege, we understand how we can use that to work towards equity and racial justice. The Racial Justice Series is open to the community, but we highly encourage YWCA staff to attend within their first 90 days of joining the organization. We also offer a training program called Creating Equitable Organizations. In this training, we work with businesses and organizations to help them identify where they are and where they want to go as it relates to creating diverse, inclusive, and equitable work environments. We use a model called the Multicultural Organizational Development Tool, which is a continuum that helps organizations understand the characteristics of an equitable and inclusive organization and provides concrete strategies to help create long-term culture change. We've used this process internally at our organization, and we also use it externally when we partner with organizations. Our partnerships are sometimes we just come in for one time and do one training for 4 hours. Other organizations we work with for 1, 2, or 3-year contracts where we have the opportunity to really go deep in the work and really help them transform their organizational culture. Finally, in our racial justice program, we offer our Racial Justice Summit. The YWCA Racial Justice Summit happens every year in October. It's a regional conference that brings together community stakeholders, nationally known keynote speakers and researchers, as well as local experts and advocates for the common goal of advancing racial justice and equity. This is a really exciting opportunity that we offer to all of our staff every year. It's a great chance to kind of build relationships with people across the community who are all working towards a similar mission to the YWCA Madison.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about the gender equity side of things in our department. And so there's 2 main ways that we do this work. The first is a program called Why Women Lead, and that's a 9-month-long leadership development program for a cohort of 20 women at a time. And that's really for folks that are really interested in digging into some leadership skills with a focus on inclusive leadership. All of our leadership programming really is looking to sort of expand the notion of what leadership can look like. A lot of the times the conversations tend to be sort of framed in sort of a masculine or patriarchal notion of what leadership can look like. And so we really want to focus on outside of climbing a ladder or achieving a title and really focusing on leadership as a behavior rather than a social location. And so in Why Women Lead, we sort of build in that way where the first several sessions are really sort of an opportunity for folks to get really grounded in their own leadership styles and do a lot of sort of self-reflection and self-awareness. And then moving from there with skill building for interpersonal relationships all the way out to really looking at what it looks like to have, to lead for community impact. And that usually runs from September all the way up until May, because that's sort of the lead up to the other large piece of the gender equity programming, which is our MOXIE conference. So that's held every year in May, and it is our leadership conference that's really designed to sort of expand people's network and leadership skills. And again, it's really an emphasis on intersectional leadership, inclusive leadership, and leadership as a behavior, rather than a title or a social location. And that also always features the Women of Distinction Leadership Awards.
So if you are interested in getting involved in the Race and Gender Equity Department or programming, there are a lot of different ways you can do that. You can come to any of the programs that we've just talked about. We have discounted or free rates for all of our programming for staff and volunteers. And you can do that by talking to your supervisors and then getting in touch with pretty much anybody in the Race and Gender Equity Department to get registered. Also, if you are working with a business or an organization who might be interested in partnering with us, again, you can get in touch with the Race and Gender Equity Department, and we'd be really happy to talk to that business and organization and give them more information about what we do. You can also access our website where we have a lot of basic information about the programs that we offer. And in general, just sending folks to the website to learn more about our program is a great way to get involved. So thanks a lot and welcome to the YWCA.